I am Josh Galindo. I've built several successful businesses utilizing the one tool everybody has, the mind. I am here to guide, coach, and prepare you. We will debate, discuss, and grow our minds together so you can obtain your own success. Fuck average, be legendary. This is my podcast. So today we have a special guest with us.
Yes.
I met this gentleman. Man, I feel like we've had a gym relationship that has obviously evolved into a friendship, and then evolved into a business friendship and business relationship, then now a friendship, and it was probably over the course of 8 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, extremely successful realtor. Something that I noticed about him and observing as his friend, great father. So great dad, great business guy, focused on health. I don't know if there's much else that you focus on in life, right? Relationships, family, and health.
Those are the hardest ones.
Fuck, and wealth. And he crushed that too. So anyway, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Michael Vestuto.
Thank you for having me.
Yay!
There you go.
Most applause I've ever had.
All right. So Danny is here to help us with the sound, and then he obviously is kind of our stimulator. If things get a little dull, Danny has no problem jumping in and creating a little
He loves to
controversy.
stir the pot.
I'm like the
There's a
audio
lot of-
fluffer.
There's a lot of sexual connotation in it.
Oh, we'll use a lot of that.
Yeah.
I run my whole life with sexual analogies.
Yeah, you do.
You know, it's like don't. The one that I learned that from Joe. My mentor was a gentleman named Joe Kennedy,
Okay.
and I was like tiptoeing around, like trying to reach out to a client, and he's like, "Dude, I don't even know if I could say it."
No.
All right, whatever. He used a sexual
Innuendos.
to articulate his thoughts. Anyway,
And you could totally relate and understand when it's used that way.
yeah, and I use it all the time.
I
I think it's a great reference because everybody can understand sex.
Well, it's the weirdest taboo, like that everyone does. The ugly people, the fat people, the skinny people, the tall people. Like everyone does it, but you can't talk.
Isn't that crazy? Everybody is doing it, but it's the one thing that's like
Yeah.
frowned upon. Bullshit. And then I got Krystal here. Krystal keeps Danny and I balanced.
Yeah.
So if I'm about to go do something crazy, she's over here going,
Way too-
don't
Other
do
way.
that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
How was your anniversary, by the way?
Amazing.
It was good. It was good.
Dude, Resorts World's the shit.
It is.
Yeah. You like it?
They got to start filling up the shops with
Oh, dude.
retail, but
My buddy runs the retail department. Believes in it. Loves what he does there. Says it's one of the more challenging projects that he's had. It's just the layout.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like and this has nothing to do with him. He didn't develop the place. But if you want to experience retail, you've got to find an outlet to get upstairs, then go and shop upstairs. Well, what if something catches your eye across that big hallway?
Yeah.
You got to go all the way back to the escalator, down and back up. Dude.
Yeah.
And like, I'm done. Tap me out.
That's kind of how fashion show was set up, though.
But they had bridges everywhere.
Yeah.
They had the bridges that did this.
And they added a bunch of bridges
Dude,
in
they-
between two layers.
Fashion show, if you go back, it sounds like you're a pretty alert and aware guy anyway, but so I'm sure you already seen this, but there's some bridges like where they'll walk up where you can't get to just the little
Right.
shop that you could, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Dude, they fucking mapped that out with human behavior to the T.
Yeah.
To the T.
Yeah.
They do that on purpose, so they get you to walk by all the other shops.
Yeah, they're funneling those humans exactly the way that they wanted that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So let's get into a little. You got questions for us? We got questions for you.
How
What do you?
about- I feel like we need a little more backstory.
I know you got to tell us a little bit more about you, Mike.
Yeah, I want to hear more about
Where were you
How
born?
did you get into real estate? How old is your offspring?
I originally got involved in.
Krystal wants to know about the kids.
I got involved in real estate in 2005. My father moved here back in the early 80s, opened up a real estate shop. He worked for Norman K. Realty. Norman K. was like a popular singer,
Really?
liner back then, I guess.
Okay.
And he opened a real estate shop?
Yeah, he opened a real estate shop in the corner of like Decatur and Valley View or something over there. And so then my father got involved in real estate and kind of built up his business. he basically ran all the new homes here. Like he had a team that was doing unbelievable business.
He was a big boy.
Yeah, his last year that he was in business himself, he sold 394 homes.
Holy shit.
And the thing is, when he ran his real estate company, they didn't take listings. They were just a buyer brokerage.
Is that how that worked back in the day?
So
like there was a buyer
all the-
brokerage and listing, or just
Or is
that's
the
how his
listing
was
all
run?
listed by owner? Were they all like for sale by owner?
He was so busy with buyers that he basically told sellers to go somewhere else.
No
He didn't
way.
take listings back then. He only dealt with buyers in new homes, and they would have caravans that they would take people
Oh my
out
gosh.
and sell new homes, and they were crushing it. And some of the
imagine.
biggest agents in town worked for him. Noah Herrera worked with him.
Really?
Jason Abrams worked for him.
Dude, how funny is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Noah's,
Now you're
Noah's
working
old
next to
school.
those guys. Well, not Jason, but I mean Noah.
Noah left before I got there, but I worked with like Corey Geib, David Dilks. They were
At Platinum though, right?
no, my dad owned Remax Home Store, and before that it was General Realty Group, and
But you're saying that Noah worked with your dad.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's the same Noah that is in all of Steve Hawk's videos,
correct.
Yes.
scaring the shit out of the city,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Well, Noah before worked at Remax Central.
Right. But I'm just saying, so Noah worked with your dad, and now you and Noah, or at least have your licenses at the same fucking brokerage. Okay.
So,
Got it.
So he was kind of, a pioneer in this town he was #1 in the world with Remax 5 years in a row.
Jesus.
Wow, that's impressive.
Built it up. I happened to lose my job. I was in retail store management for a home improvement company called Menards. That's like the largest privately held home improvement company. So it's behind Home Depot and Lowe's.
Where's that at?
They're based out of the Midwest.
Yeah.
And
Never
they're-
heard of that. Menards?
Yeah, they're,
Like you go buy lumber from, like if you live in the Midwest?
think of a home improvement store that looks like a Target. It was like everything's on display. It's nice and clean. It's
Kind of took that hard construction warehouse feel out of it, huh?
correct.
Okay.
So, and you could buy appliances, everything there. And
So it's like a Home Depot and a Lowe's.
yeah,
Okay.
just a lot cleaner. So worked there, and then retail sucks, and I ended
Right.
up
Yeah.
getting
No thanks.
fired. And I was like, "What am I?"
You got
gonna do?
fired.
Yeah,
Good for you. That just shows how miserable you were.
yeah. I'd rather have joined. The
For you to
military.
get fired, yeah, you had to be you were miserable.
Yeah, retail's just that way. Just working for anybody. I mean, you make the smallest mistake, something comes up. We used to get letters from the owner of the company. His name was John Menard. He's big into racing, so you may have heard about him from there. Like Tony Stewart used to be one of his drivers
Okay.
and stuff. But we used to literally get these Dear John letters in the mail, and it would be maybe a video of the in-store showing something going on of my employees if they were screwing around, and I would have to write a Dear John letter back to the owner of what was going on, how I'm going to rectify it. It was very, very micromanaged.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
He wrote the letter?
Yeah. He
That's
would
fucking nuts.
write the letter himself. And
How many stores did he have?
he's probably have 300 stores.
What?
Yeah.
Are these typed letters or actually handwritten?
Handwritten.
No.
Oh my God.
This guy's my hero.
And, you'd never know he's a billionaire. He comes in a white T-shirt, jeans. He would walk stores himself and do secret shops.
Wow.
And he would call people out right on the spot.
Incredible.
One time, one of the stores didn't open up on time. You're supposed to open up at like 8 or 9 a.m. And he was outside the store, and the store manager happened to show up late that day and didn't open up the store.
Oh gosh.
He drove his truck right through the front doors and then took the cost of the doors out of the store manager's bonus for not opening the store on time.
Oh my God.
Dude, if you're watching Mr. Menard,
That is
Yeah.
ruthless.
write Joshua Galindo a letter and let's get you on the podcast. I love that approach. If I could do that, you can only do that shit if you're a billionaire.
Yeah,
Yeah. 'Cause
destroy
You got to
your
have a
own
lot,
shit.
right? Well, you got to have money to fix all those
Yeah.
problems because now you got lawsuits and you got
If you Google him, he's got all types of stuff where, the EPA has hit him fined for dumping stuff into the river, and he just throws money at it and it like goes away. So,
Okay, you can't do that. Don't fucking kill the rivers.
Oh my gosh.
but just stupid stuff like that. So
Well, I'm glad we touched on that guy. That's a fucking cool story. So he clipped you.
yeah, so
Okay.
I was fired, and then I could have went back into retail and worked for Home Depot and other stores, but I was like, I lived in the Midwest at that time in Wisconsin, and I basically told my wife at the time, like, I have to at least move to Las Vegas and try real estate. If it doesn't
Yeah.
work, at least I know we can go back to doing retail or something. But, Las Vegas has that taboo, especially back then, that it's not family oriented.
Right.
I always tell people if you have one of the vices, if you're into sex, drugs, alcohol, gambling,
Yeah.
this is not the place for you to be because it'll gobble you up and spit you out. And
Allow me to interject on that, because I think I'm going to spice this thing up. But keep staying in your story. But you're not born here, or were you born here?
I'm originally born in Chicago, Illinois.
Okay, and then you worked your way to where'd you say?
I was all over the Midwest.
Well,
Yeah.
where'd you come from?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Thank you. I never fucking say that state ever. So anyway, being born and raised here, I feel like that rule, which is accurate, and obviously, is very applicable to implants. Like when
Yeah.
you move here, obviously those are the vices that you can run into. Being born and raised here, I don't feel that I was susceptible to any of that stuff.
I agree.
And,
I agree.
and you're looking at 3 natives right here, and it wasn't. I just don't feel it's that when you're born here. Either you're just used to it and you come up with it, and then it's just kind of like legal drugs in Amsterdam, so you just don't do them.
Well, we all know somebody, especially with gambling, that
but
has
not born here.
either lost money or
Yeah, sure. Well, you mean like an addiction, where it became harmful to their livelihood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, lost everything.
Okay, let's play that game for a second. Born and raised.
Yeah.
That, well, of course we know somebody, but is there an abundance of it? I wouldn't say if you were born and raised here that there is an abundance of that type of person that let Vegas just eat them alive. Anybody else?
No, like I said, there's always the select few that just can't handle themselves. Like,
Well, we know
Well,
thousands of people,
well,
and
and I'm sure
I
there's
could name
people-
2 or
There's not a
3.
lot. There's
I'm
not a
sure
lot.
there's people that go through it and come back out and then they just don't, they learn their lesson too.
Yeah. Anyway,
You know
I just
what?
thought that was
I
interesting.
will say that you probably will notice that what makes Vegas very different is the money. If you go into, it's very fast paced here compared to other places in the country,
Mm-hmm.
and it's probably the one place where you're going to see more people acting like they have money or overspending, living beyond their means. I mean, if you go to other cities, you don't see as many luxury cars
Sure.
as you do
Right.
here.
Right.
You don't, I mean, there's so many people that have houses and they have no furniture. Their mattress is on the
That's just the
ground.
norm, huh?
I think people like extend themselves more so in Las Vegas than they do in other parts of the country. And I think we're always trying to keep up with the Joneses. We're always trying to compete with somebody else. And there's so many people that overextend themselves. I mean, in this business,
Oh yeah.
especially in real estate, people are buying 6-figure cars
Right.
that don't even own a house.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like,
You're
It's backwards.
yeah.
so ass back.
We talked about that when I drove around Southern Highlands. My girlfriend lived in there for a minute, and I was trying to find her house. And these houses are, those really tight, no yard, 1,600 square foot, 2 stories. And I saw a Ferrari and a Urus in this dude's driveway.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, I'm like, that's $500,000. I'm like,
More than that
Right.
house.
Right. The house is $430, and there's $500,000 in cars in the driveway.
And they're probably renting.
yeah,
Yeah.
I saw
Right.
Ferraris.
They're probably renting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was wild.
And
Yeah.
that's the problem. Like you'll see people that have, a $50,000 Rolex, but they're renting, they're leasing their car, but they're just over leveraging themselves to try to impress other people. And I really appreciate people that work hard, build themselves up, and that are
That
humble.
earn it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you compare Michael Jordan and LeBron James, the reason that people really look at Michael Jordan as the GOAT is because he let other people do the talking of how good he is. He didn't go out there and say,
Ooh.
I'm the best, I'm the king, I'm this. Where LeBron, I feel a lot of people turn on him because he says, I am the best basketball player of all time. So people are automatically looking at him like, why do you have such an ego? Like, let other people define who you are.
Mm-hmm.
I think
or
he's
let your
insecure.
work do the talking for you.
I think it's rooted in insecurity.
Yeah.
If he felt confident that he was the best basketball player of all time, then he would. Why would he be? Why would
Why would
need
he
to charge
care what
himself?
everyone's thinking? Yeah.
He would go, I just know it. But he's insecure that he's not. So he has to reconfirm it to everybody around him. Just so everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
Just, I'm the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of like in our industry, everybody shoots to be on the top 250 list.
Right.
Everybody
Yeah.
wants to see the list. They
I
all
do.
want to see
Uh-huh.
themselves
I'll be honest.
up there. But it's like, okay, you're up there, but how much money do you have in the bank?
Like, what'd you do with it?
Yeah, you have 100 transactions under your belt, but what do you have to show for it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's so many people that strive to be on that list, but they don't realize after being in this business for so many years, how many people owe a ton of money to the IRS,
Yeah.
how many people are just faking it to make it.
Yeah.
And it's like, just come up with your own numbers and try to improve yourself.
Yeah. Focus on yourself.
Like if you're number 400 in town and you're shooting to be number 1,
There's nothing wrong with moving to 350,
yeah,
380.
it's kind of like losing weight. If you want to lose 100 pounds, well, start off small.
Yeah.
5 pounds at a time and watch it grow. You just don't say, I'm going to lose 100 pounds, because you're going to fail
Yeah.
if you don't set it up incrementally.
I saw a video on that. It was like, you have these big dreams and people just think like, oh, that's never going to happen. I'm just going to fail. It's like, but what's the next step? Just do the next step.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's the next step after that? Just do the next step. Just focusing on the next step.
Yeah. And I've been on that list.
Yeah.
I've been off of the list. I
Yeah.
don't go by that list. I go by, was I able to put my kids through college?
Uh-huh.
Are my bills paid?
Right.
Am I hurting for money? I'm not living beyond my means. I'm not trying to impress or show off to anybody. I'm just doing me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not focused on other people.
Yeah.
Well, you're forgetting the people that pay to be on lists.
Yeah.
Well, and
That's the best one.
And
We've-
there's many ways to manipulate the system.
oh my
I mean,
gosh.
Josh could put everybody in the office under him, and then he would be in the top 10 like right away.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I think my most proudest ranking was like 28, and then I was 32, then I was 38, then I was 60. But anyway, I was always in the top 100. None of it was ever using anybody else's numbers pumped through my number to push me up.
No.
And you and I think I've seen posts that you've done. When I have those accomplishments, I go on social and I will say these are my authentic numbers. They are not influenced by any other agents.
Right.
Intentionally. And what I'm doing is back to my point about when we first opened up here.
Yeah.
Is it's to call out the people that are doing that.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I guess if that's their business model, I guess what it allows you to do is to say, I'm in the top 1% or something like that. But I think what maybe this conversation is doing for a newer agent is it's exposing what that really is, so that it's just like these young girls that like look in a magazine and think that if they're not 90 pounds, then they're not beautiful. It's just like a new agent coming into the market, looking at the top 100 agents going, if I'm not in that top 100, I'm not a good agent, which is total bullshit because we're exposing the bullshit. Now, if that is part of your business plan, good for you. Have at it. Do it. But let's make sure that we're clear on what it takes to get there. If people are running numbers through other agents, then it's smoke and mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that
they know it.
well, of course they know it. They know
Yeah.
it. But if you're a high-end broker, and maybe you can help me out with this, I bet you're spending $30,000 a month on magazine ads that are in Tokyo and or in Bel Air and New York City and Miami. Because if I have a $25 million house, why would I choose you over him? The only way that you're going to differentiate yourself is that your marketing's better.
Yeah.
Which is fair. But boy, what the fuck does that cost? Like, I know what minimal marketing costs. So yeah, these agents may be making these big sales, but boy, I can guarantee you that the net take home is not what you would expect or suspect.
Yeah, it's kind of like I know several people that pay $50,000-$60,000 a month.
There you go.
to
Thank you.
Zillow.
There
Yeah.
you go. I know, dude. I knew a guy that was
Yeah.
doing $90,000 a month.
Yeah,
He probably still is.
I know.
and
I do have a quick question. I should know this, but the top, how do they decide who's the top 250? What is it based off? Commission or is it transactions or what is it?
Usually it's by
Yeah, it's
the
a good
title
question.
fees that are brought in.
Okay.
The title companies are the ones usually that release it. So
Okay.
it'll show like your buy sides, your listing sides, and,
Okay.
and, your double-ended sides. But it usually goes by the title fees that were brought in, which is based on your sales volume.
Okay.
So that's usually how the report.
Okay.
Is done.
Okay. I
So here's where I
feel
think
like
that,
I used to know that, but I just don't anymore.
yeah, no, well, I always ask the same question. What if I sold $1 billion house? Am I number one?
But that'd be
You
in
could
the
be-
that'd be in the
could be with your
sales
title
side.
fees,
There's
yeah.
two sides, so it'll add your sales side up and your buyer side. So your sales side would be $1 billion, and then your buyer side would be like 100,000.
So would I be number one?
Yeah, like
Probably.
I think
You could be,
I think
because if you look at
Kypro's
some of the luxury brokers, their dollar, is higher. Average
Yeah.
dollar amount is higher, so they might not have as many transactions, but they're pulled up there because their title fees are
Or
much
higher.
higher.
because they have a higher price range. to
See,
begin with.
honestly, it sounds like it's almost a fucked up.
well
algorithm system.
GK was top 5, and he had like almost 0 in his listing side. 'Cause
Right.
he's such a big buyer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The issue is this game is a lot of ego,
Yes.
and it's always trying to one up the other guy. And there's many people that we know in this business that are humble, that we know that do good business. Just like there's several people that have flipped more properties than you.
Tons.
But people know your quality. They know
Mhm.
what you put in the house,
Mhm.
and they know those people. I'm not going to say names, but they know that, okay, this flip was done by this
So and so.
person. And
Totally.
It looks like shit. They all look the same, and they're just trying to push it off, and they sit on the market longer than they should. And everybody knows your flips, and you did a good job of branding your flips with the little bobblehead dude in there. Before that,
Yeah.
it was the wooden guy, and
Yeah.
then you.
Yeah. Smart.
And everyone knows because you labeled everything in the house of what you did and the features.
The yes
kind of like a
signs,
new
yeah.
home. And that's what made you stand out from other
Mhm.
people. And it's the same thing with real estate. There's a lot of people that just bragging all the time. It's just like the awards. Like half
Oh,
these
man.
awards are bought. The magazine.
Yeah, the
Right.
magazine cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. From some fucking random ass.
And your clients don't care.
No.
No.
Well, I
they
think
don't.
this whole game, I think the whole game, the retail side, is fear of influence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe I'm wrong, but like, we'll use Steve Hawks as an example because he's a big producing guy. Does the billboard, like I have 17 billboards running in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
My phones are not blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
Going, oh, I saw your billboard. I saw your billboard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just branding. It's just awareness. So that when that moment that Matt Langeth, my one of my top producing guys here, sits down and at someone's kitchen table and goes, hey, I work with Galindo Group Real Estate.
Right.
Now that consumer can go, I've heard of them. It's not like this little tiny brokerage that is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But am I actually getting measurable business off of it? I don't think so, dude. I think, to your point, to be net successful in real estate, it's a sphere of influence game. Because if you buy the leads at 67, I'm not kidding. These two know who I'm talking about, and,
Yeah.
and the guy's a very great friend of mine, and I'm sure he's done very well for himself. But I think he was spending $500,000, $700,000 a year.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, and that's just for the leads. That's
Mhm.
not a transaction coordinator, an assistant, the rent, your car payment, all these other things that require to conduct business. What kind of business do you have to fucking do to make that a net win? Actually, I know two guys,
Yeah.
and one guy I know wasn't crushing it. One guy I think actually was able to do okay. The other guy was not doing okay, but still shuffling out that kind of money to keep the business going.
Well, don't you lose your rank in Zillow if you give it up?
Oh, you have to keep feeding the machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if the whole point is to make money. Like, I don't give a shit about clout. I genuinely don't. If someone said here's $1 billion, then I'd be the clout would come naturally,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't go seek it.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's about making money.
Yeah.
To your point, these people it's about being known and seen.
Yeah, and I think that
Which I think
Many-
some of that might be that they think that that's what the business model requires.
Yeah, I think our industry has done a terrible job of showing people what our business is really like. From HGTV to these
Totally.
luxury real estate
Mhm.
shows,
Totally.
to even our brokers that are, look at all the people that come into this business and label themselves as a luxury broker. And we really know that there's only like 10 true
At most.
luxury
Right.
brokers
Yep.
in this town that.
Right.
And it's okay to stay in your lane. If you go to a doctor, a general doctor,
I love this. I
They-
love where you're going with this.
they will send you to a specialist.
Right.
But when we have a real estate license, we seem to think like we know everything about everything.
Mhm.
Just like Josh said, He knows his flips. He knows his consulting. He doesn't deal with the retail side of real estate. So he's going to go consult with other people.
Yep.
If I have someone that wants a commercial deal, I can fumble through it, but I may lose it. So why not team up with somebody, learn something, and so what? You're splitting the money. At least you got something rather than nothing, and you gain some knowledge.
And you save your reputation. Like if you take on a deal
yes.
that you don't know what you're doing, you're going to ruin your reputation.
That's a one-time client.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they will not say good things about you moving forward.
I had a client years ago that wanted one high-rise, and I could have fumbled through it, but I contacted, back in that day, Jason Trinidad was like the king of condos.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
So I contacted Jason. I was like, hey, like, you want to help me out with this guy? You want to work with him? And yeah, he's like, I'll just take him and we'll do like a 50-50 split. And I was like, that's cool, whatever, because I know that he knows that product.
Yeah.
Well, he ended up selling him 2 condos that were like adjoining to each other, and
Okay.
like $2 million worth. And
Wow.
originally the guy was only looking at 500,000. So
That went your way.
yeah, it went my way, it went his way, and
Right.
the client was ultimately
Yeah.
taken care of. And that's what's important. Too many agents are putting the money in front of the client when the money will come if you take care of the client and stay your lane. Like if you're a new agent, you have no
Business doing luxury.
like your broker is going to let you handle a $5-10 million deal
my
that
goodness.
you don't know anything about. Like I would be terrified if I was a new agent, because that's asking for a lawsuit. which
Yeah.
brings liability onto the broker.
Well, and how can you go sell $1 million home when you have nothing to compare it to? You don't even know what the lower end is. Like you'd have to have that knowledge.
Keep going.
And that's where they fake it to make it. You know,
Yeah.
they go out and they buy their luxury car, they put on their expensive suit and their jewelry, and you know, you see it. They go in and do all these walkthroughs through these properties and take 1 million pictures of making it seem like they're this luxury broker, but they're not doing any business. And that shouldn't be the meat potatoes of your business
Right.
anyway.
No, it's too far and few in between.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I were a new agent,
I was gonna say, switch your headphones.
if I was a new agent, dude, give me $375
Oh, I'd,
Yeah.
I'd be
Twice a
targeting
Mhm.
East Side.
twice a week.
Well, I feel like you'd
Let
be
me
more
close-
confident in that space, and you'd
Oh my-
learn so much.
Well, then you can systemize it.
Yeah.
Because that's what a business is when you can produce predictable results is
Yeah.
what is that, that's how I define a business.
Mhm.
These guys have these major swings on their flips and then have these major lows. It's because they're not running a business. They're banking on luck and market conditions.
Yeah.
A predictable business is when you can have results that are predictable.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can get into 375, 400, 500, whatever the number is, often you can create a system.
Yeah.
And now you can have predictability. When you're going from like Feast or
Mhm.
Phantom, excuse me, 10 million, whatever, you get it. When we have $10 million home to nothing, dude, you've learned nothing. You've learned
Right.
nothing. You have no business. You can't reproduce the results.
Right.
No.
And it's harder to sell condos than it is to sell a luxury home. Like there's so many more complications with
Right,
a
right.
condo. You got to find out if it's
A high rise?
Well, not just high rise, just regular.
Right. You can go both ways.
You gotta
Yeah.
find out if the community is approved.
Yeah.
It'll take you longer to sell that on the market than
Mm-hmm.
We got stuck with
luxury
that.
home.
We listed as FHA, and we got tons of FHA offers, and then we go to do it, and they're like, "Yeah, FHA is not allowed." We're like,
Dude, there was even a moment we thought that one was cash only.
Yeah.
"Yeah,
yeah. I caught one agent that I wrote an offer on a property, and I noticed that they didn't go on there and put the SIDS information on there.
Okay.
And they didn't have it in the MLS listing because somebody probably didn't teach them how to go to the site
Right.
to check what the balance is on the.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that they didn't put it in there. So on the additional terms, which a lot of agents aren't even reading the contract,
Yeah.
I put that sellers to pay
Oh,
for the
That's
SID
smart.
in
yeah,
full,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they didn't catch it. And that agent ended up having given $11,000 out of their commission
holy shit.
damn."
because they didn't catch it.
Well, let's talk about what that really was. That was you
Mm-hmm.
being an experienced, high quality agent.
Right. Right.
That's what I would.
And if
I'd
you jumped
talk
right
about
into luxury, you wouldn't know that.
it. Yeah.
And I only know that from trials and
Sure.
failures myself.
How long you been in
Right.
the business?
Since 2005.
Oh, same. So say 18. What is that? 8? I think I was just doing the math myself. When did
Yeah.
you? Well, I don't
18
even.
years."
Huh? 18. Yeah, that's when I got licensed. How funny.
Yeah, so I've obviously dealt with real estate my whole life,
Yeah.
but just got into it in 2005. That was back when it took forever for your license to come in. It took
Yeah.
6 months because
Yeah.
you had to
Yeah.
go through all the.
They were so backed up because so many people were getting licensed. That was
Mhm.
my understanding. Yeah, it took forever.
Yeah,
I remember sitting around.
We had to go get the fingerprints, and then that was taking forever to get that.
Do they have to do fingerprints still?
I don't know. I imagine.
I mean, I had to do the fingerprints, but
For what?
for when I was gonna get licensed.
Oh, you
and then
said
I
it, yeah.
didn't. Yeah.
And it
So-
sucked back then because I didn't have my license. I was just, what I was doing is I was driving around the new homes and finding out what all the deals are, and then I would come back and tell all the agents, and then they would go out and sell their clients' houses, and I'm like,
You're like, damn it.
make money eventually.
Yeah.
And then, then 2006, the market like changed and
Yeah.
everything went downhill from there. But
Did you get crushed in that, or did you? Because you had a you were able to capitalize, didn't you? Didn't you get in the REO business?
yeah, I got in the REO business. I felt it was good for me because back then a lot of people didn't like really have to work. Like deals were just thrown at them.
Right.
In what years? You're saying like 5 to 7?
2005 and before, like people would bring contracts and just do it on their car right after they showed the house. They would just write it above. It's kind of like how it was like 2 years ago here,
Right.
and you didn't have to really be experienced. Like deals were just thrown at you. So I felt like it made me work harder. Being involved in 2006 as the market was going the other way, and had to push harder. And then I was able to get some REO accounts and deal with
That had to be lucrative at that time, right?
It was, but you had to do a lot of transactions.
A lot.
Like
Yeah.
I posted something the other day in 2011, December of 2011. I personally did 12 deals, and it ended up being 1.5 million total. So it ended up being about $130,000.
I love that you're pointing this out.
And as a team, there was 3 of us. We did 25 deals, and it ended up at $3 million.
Yeah.
And
Dude, that's why
Just December?
well,
What'd you
but
say?
December of
Oh
2011.
wow.
are you grasping his point here?
Yeah. Yeah.
That these agents today have no fucking clue.
No
The
clue.
average price is $385.
Right.
I mean, we can
So
go
you'd
off
have
the
to
median,
do-
but let's call it 385,
You'd have
400.
to do only so many.
They got to do
deals
3.
compare. Yeah.
They got to do 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get
So,
it.
And then you have all your costs and overhead and everything
Yeah.
else on top of that.
Right.
So, yeah, we were dealing with a lot of transactions, but it was also, a headache.
There's a lot of work.
Yeah, you were basically at the mercy of the bank
Yeah.
and that asset manager, and those asset managers didn't know anything about real estate. And when you would try telling them, they would basically tell you how to do it. And, if you go off and tell these guys that's not how it's done, you could lose your whole account.
Right.
Right.
And like I had a personal situation where I don't know if you've ever heard of the anonymous group. Like
That sounds
The hacker group?
yeah, they're the vendetta ones that wear the white mask.
Okay. Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like the
Yeah,
private,
okay.
like
They'll expose people and shut
Yeah.
down their bank account.
Oh.
so there, we had to go check occupancy of a property, and this person said that they bought the property at a tax auction or something like that, and they were the
Okay.
owner, and they threatened that they were going to kill us if we ever stepped on their property.
You?
Yeah. And we went through a whole nightmarish situation with this group anonymous that got involved. They were outside of our office picketing. They spray painted our building
Oh my God.
and they were wearing these masks. So even when the cops came, the cops could not ask for their they know all the rules and laws and et cetera.
Oh, my
so we couldn't
goodness.
identify them. And then when we brought them to court, they ended up threatening the judge, and they put all of the judge's information online, who his kids were, where he went to school, his number, his email. They put all my personal information on there. They were contacting my daughter
Bro.
for like a
This is some
year.
frightening shit.
Yeah, and the bank would not help us at all. We told them we didn't even want this property
Right.
anymore.
We
And
don't
they
want
said,
it anymore.
They said, sorry, it's been assigned to you. You have to go through. And they just basically bailed on us. And it was just ugly.
Did you get through it?
We ended up getting through it because the judge, he put the one guy in jail for 14 days. And then they became even more irate.
Right.
And then the judge just basically was talking to him like a person, like, how are we going to squash this?
Right. Let's just
Yeah.
put this behind us, dude.
Like, this is going to get worse and worse. I can throw you in jail for a year, but what good is that going to do?
Right.
Yeah, and it just, eventually they gave
And what did the guy say? What was his demands? Was he like, I want my house back or something?
At that point, he was in the house, and he would just argue with the judge. Like, they know the laws, they know rules, they know everything.
I just think
and
it's so crazy when people are so smart like that, and that's how they choose to use it. Like,
Right.
I mean, it sounds like that's a different anonymous. The anonymous now is very good will intent. Like I don't.
they're all they're hackers, so they
Yeah,
like
but
to
that
do-
sounds like some really crazy stuff. Like they're usually helping people out that get screwed over by government, helping people out that get screwed over by banks,
Oh,
you know,
well,
all across the world. But that like spray painting and vandalizing, like that's crazy.
Yeah, it was ugly.
bro, that had to be frightening for you on a personal level.
It didn't frighten me. It made me angry, and it made me want to do things that would have been out of the norm. Because
Right.
especially when they started contacting my daughter,
Oh,
oh
man.
yeah.
and they were putting all her information out there on social media. They knew where she was going off to college. They put all this information out there, and then sending her derogatory
Oh my
stuff.
gosh.
And at that point, like, I mean, as a dad, you just want to go grab him by the throat and just
Right. And you know where he lives.
yeah. And so that was the hardest part,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
trying to get the judge to like go along with you, but he's being attacked too. It just made it terrible.
It's like some digital mafia stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. How many homes after that did you sell? Did you stay where did you keep the account?
Yeah, we kept the account.
How many homes did you think you sold with those guys or through the REO game?
Probably 3,000.
Wow.
Damn. Over the course of how many years?
5 years.
Damn. That's a
Wow,
lot.
that's a lot, dude. You were doing a lot.
Crazy.
So you understand, that was to my point earlier, is the whole net take home.
Yeah.
Dude, to run, that's why I always, it's easy to, Steve Hawks puts himself out there. I'm sure he could pick on me when he feels like it.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people compare themselves to him because he's a big producer. I'm like, do you know what it fucking takes
right.
to do 3,000 transactions a year
Yeah.
at 1%? Do you know how many people you have to have running that?
Mhm.
And actually, you could
Yeah.
probably be the one that tells me if that's true or not. I don't know how his operation works, but my guess is he's got to have 10 employees. Or you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I know he has buyer's agents. I know he has like a transaction coordinator, and I think he has like an assistant that does a lot of the stuff for him. But Steve does a lot of stuff hands on. Like Steve's in the trenches. Like he goes on his listing appointments. He's
Really?
yeah, he's in it. So
Good for him.
I know that's
and he
that's
takes the time
incredible.
to do, all of his speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, social media stuff.
He's probably the best marketer in the game.
Yeah, and that's the 1% thing. All these agents that talk bad about it.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's how I look at it is it's the cost of doing business. The 6% has been around since real estate has started.
Yeah.
So take 2011 when my average price was 130,000. So 6% of 130,000 is very different from 6% of 425 being the average now. But are you really doing anything different with your marketing now than you did 10 years ago? So, when I did the 1%, now I'm doing it by a case situation. Like I tell people, there's a cost of doing business. Let me come out, take a look, and basically give you a quote of what I think it's going to take to sell this home in the shortest amount of time and get you the most money.
Love it.
And I think that's how you need to approach every situation. If you just go with this blanket 6%, so
right.
Is there an up or down? Like,
Right.
if you're not doing an open, like some of these luxury homes, it requires you to show it, so you have to go
Every
every
time.
time.
Right. You got to market it.
Yeah, and you're putting more work in than you are with a vacant house that you just put a lockbox on. Some of these agents don't do much to market the house. I'm actually telling sellers to start secret shopping their agents. Call their voicemail or call their phone, have somebody else call their phone, see if they answer.
Mm-hmm.
See what their voicemail says. You'd be amazed at how many voicemails say, I only take calls from noon to 5.
Or that don't even have their voicemail set up.
Or it says it's full.
Or it says it's full,
if
right.
you can't reach them, how can I reach them
Yeah.
to get you an offer or to show your property? So there's so many, like it's like anything else. You look at testimonials, you check on references. You're paying this person tens of thousands of dollars. Make sure they're doing what they're doing. Like I send my proof of marketing to all my clients. I send them the MLS sheet and tell me, is everything on here look right? Is there anything that needs to be changed? It's their property.
Right.
They might want something changed or something didn't look right. Maybe the HOA amount was wrong. But now I have documentation coming back from them that it looks right. I send them what it looks like on what the clients see from the MLS from other point of view from agents. I send them that. I send them my print marketing. I send them everything for them to see, because they will never come back to me and be like, you didn't do anything to market my property,
Right.
because I send them to proof.
Wow.
And
Incredible. And this is why you're a successful agent of 18 years.
well,
Just hearing you say this.
I mean,
Here's the
because
thing.
it's about the
Success to me
client.
about real estate isn't you've made so much money you don't know what to do with it.
Mhm.
Success is that you've been in business
Yeah.
18 years. Forget what years you've crushed it and what years you haven't crushed it. It's,
Mhm.
bro, you've been in business for real estate is not easy.
No.
No,
To say you've been in real estate 18 years says a lot about who you are as a person.
and that's
Successfully.
well, appreciate it. I mean,
Dude,
we have to
I would say that
adapt.
to anybody.
We always have to adapt in this business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
right
that's-
now, all this is new. This podcast
Yeah.
and online marketing. This is all new stuff that we have to do to adjust.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would say that the best time that I had in real estate, that I felt like I was being rewarded the most, is back when I was helping people with short sales,
Interesting.
because that's when people really appreciated what you do. When somebody knew
They needed your
that
help.
they were in this debt with their house, and that you just not only short sold the property, but you got them a cancellation of debt, so they weren't going to have to pay the taxes on that.
Oh,
They
yeah.
weren't going to be penalized, and they can move on. Those people were so appreciative because they felt the weight off of their shoulders. They could finally move on with their life. It gave me more appreciation for what I do, helping those people, because a lot of times when you help people, they don't thank you. They
Right.
don't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They just,
They're just not grateful.
because they look at the money.
They're like, I paid for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't believe in showing all this money that you have and showing that you're super successful, because then those people kind of feel like, I just paid this guy 35 grand and he says he does 10 of these a month.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
You know, now he wants to get in the business, and then he realizes, oh, that's just a lie. Look at how hard they have to work.
Yeah.
It's
Not even just
easy.
hard work either. It takes creativity and intelligence. And
And it's
Yeah.
It's like those.
nonstop.
the
if it was
flip
just hard
house.
work, you'd look at your landscaper and go, "Does he work hard? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why isn't he making $350 a week?"
Just like all the HGTV shows, the flipping shows.
That's all bullshit.
Yeah.
I can't even watch them.
I can't watch him anymore either.
I can't watch them
I bet.
anymore either.
I love hearing you say that because I
It's just painful. 'Cause, like, the girl has goggles on and she's in heels, and they gave her a sledgehammer. I'm like, no one touches a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
You point which wall you want with spray paint, you leave, and you come back a day and it's gone.
yeah.
yeah.
I
Well,
went
it's
on one,
unintelligent business.
Yeah.
and they had to say cut like
Oh my gosh.
every 5
yeah.
seconds. Like as soon as we pulled up, it was a house in Southern Highlands, and the house was painted two-tone gray. So when they had me on camera, I was like, how did you guys get this to pass the HOA? Like, Southern Highlands has the hardest
Right.
HOA with Olympia Management,
The worst.
and they're all
Most
two-tone
strict.
tan. Like,
Yeah.
how did you get this to be gray? And they're like, oh, can you not talk about that? Like,
Cut.
well,
do it
somebody
again.
that buys this house is going to get a notice that they have to paint it back.
Right.
The seller's gonna
right.
be fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Buyer.
I've repainted. No, the seller.
Oh.
Because the seller's going to disclose, say on the SRPD, nothing's wrong, no HOA violations, and then they're going to close and they're getting an HOA violation notice, and then the seller's going to be responsible to go back and fix it.
Got
yeah,
it.
you know, and then
I've repainted houses. I know the problem. Yeah, because I just did the same thing. I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, but
now
you're
we're real
stand up.
strict about that. How do you
Yeah.
think? Why do you think I'm so strict? I've
well,
learned
just
that
like
lesson.
the red door, not everybody community is going to let people do the red door. And
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know
Right.
if that was Marietta's thing or your thing.
No, that was mine.
Was it?
Yeah,
You know,
I
but
did that in like 2000.
so many people started doing that, and I'm like, did you guys check with your HOA? They usually have a color scheme. That
Yeah. That you have to follow.
We never did red doors in Sun City. We had the scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, but keep going. So yeah, the HGTV thing getting cut off over and over and over again.
Yeah, or the luxury that shows you're going out and showing this home, and someone writes an offer. They're not showing behind the scenes of you making 150 calls and people telling you to kiss off or
Yeah.
I'm not interested or
What about the 100-item request for repairs list?
yeah. I mean,
They
there's
don't
so
show
many
that.
things that, you know, HGTV shows this. It's kind of like that funny meme. It shows the person collects butterflies and makes, you know, $500 a week, and the other one has some different job and their budget is 1.5 million. And you're like, what? Like, how does their jobs add up to 1.5 million for the house that they're buying? It's
Oh, got
Yeah,
it. And the
he-
house budget is
Yeah.
1.5 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
collect butterfly. Okay,
yeah. They always show them like having a job that doesn't pay that much, but their budget is
It's
way
through the roof.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what about when they're done with the flip? One open house, 20 buyers come
Right.
in. They're like, we got a contract for 20 over. I'm like, one open house doesn't find a buyer ever.
No,
Yeah.
no. Let me play devil's advocate here, because
Mhm.
I think, a lot of my brand is the mindset stuff. So a lot of how I operate in my space is that I don't tell anybody how much money I make. I don't talk about, I never posted a check ever.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an era where that was like real popular.
Yeah.
I still kind of laugh when I see the newbies that come in and
Or
do
the
it.
stacks of cash.
Yeah.
They got paid with cash or something.
See, that may be even more old
Yeah.
school. I don't remember that part, but I'm sure that was out there. I just live my life and buy things that I like, and then that represents where I'm at in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then the observer can be the one to judge if I'm doing well or not.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so that's kind of how I operate. And then but if we were to like talk to a new agent here, I kind of want to like, because a new agent's going to listen to this for sure. And I think we made some good points on living within your means and just being authentic, not living within your means, being authentic. But there is an argument that you got to push a little bit outside of your comfort zone to keep moving in the direction that you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a new agent, do you buy the nice car? Do you not buy the nice car?
The car doesn't matter.
You don't think the car matters?
The car used to matter back in the day because you put clients in your car.
Okay.
Now, I can't remember the last time I had a client in my car.
Agreed.
You usually meet them at the property.
Right.
Clients don't even come to your office anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
You usually meet them at properties, or you meet them at a Starbucks. Like, even on brokers that build these big elaborate offices, it's like nobody comes into that office besides your agents, and even agents don't even come into the office. So
Right.
I feel it's a waste of money. And I know I put on about 25,000 miles a year on my car.
Right.
So why would I buy a depreciating asset
Mm-hmm.
that's $100,000
Mm-hmm.
and
All right, good point. Let's talk about in exchange for that. I think the value add there would be if you're going to commit to a $1,200 car payment, and which means that if you're going to commit to a $1,200 car payment, it means you're going to commit to a $1,200 expense.
yeah.
So why not take that to go buy a regular car, a car that's reasonable and represents you well, and then take the remaining amount of what you're willing to commit and pay that towards your business.
Yeah.
What I find so interesting and debilitating to the agents in my office that I often try to say, guys, this real estate tree is this really beautiful giving tree.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. It's afforded you a great life. It's afforded all of us in this
Yeah.
room a great life. It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. It's the greatest thing that I think has ever happened to anybody that actually takes this real estate tree seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that nobody waters it.
Yeah.
They go out there and they pluck 10 leaves off the tree and they leave. They come back out the next day and they pluck 10 more trees off or leaves off the tree and they leave. And they just keep going before they know the tree's fucking dead. And my point with that analogy is like, how much do you invest in your business? I look at an agent.
Mm-hmm.
I saw last year you made $125,000, whatever the number is. How much of that went back to feeding this beautiful real estate tree?
Yeah.
0. You didn't spend $100 a month consistently towards something, and then built your way to 200, and then built your way to 300,
Mm-hmm.
and then built your way to 4, and then before you know it, you're spending $10,000 a month on your business, so that it could bring you back 100.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me that you don't see that,
I do see that.
or tell me your thoughts on it. We could play devil's advocate here because I think it creates stimulation for the
Yeah.
listener.
So I've had meetings with people that are looking to get into the business because they only see the glamorous.
Right,
And they think it's
right.
easy to do. So what I always tell people is, do you have a business plan? Because they always want to know what broker I should work with and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, before you consider a broker, what's your business plan? I always tell people to figure out what they're living off of right now and what they can make. First, you should have at least 6 months of reserves before you get into this game, because you're not going to just
Good
come
piece of
into it
advice.
and close deals right
Yeah,
away.
even if you get one under contract your first day, it's 30 days out for
Yeah,
At best,
paid.
right?
Yeah.
exactly. So I tell people have at least 6 months, and then I tell them to build themselves a business plan for 3 years. Figure out what they make presently at their job now, or what they can live off right now.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you set up yourself in a corporation. You know, a lot of brokers don't talk with their agents about their business about setting up a corporation, usually under your name, and you put your license in your corporation name. And then you set yourself up on a payroll.
Yeah.
So whatever you are living off of right now, all the money you have comes into your corporation, and then pay yourself a monthly salary
off what you live
off what you can live off of into your personal account from your corporation. Now, if you're making more money through that year, you can always take a draw quarterly or whatever you want. But also set up a separate account and put a certain dollar amount there, usually 10 or 15% for taxes. Because there's so many agents that don't put any money away for taxes. And at the end of the year, now they got to come up with a $40,000 check, and they're like, what am I going to do? And then you stack that year over year over year.
Right,
And the interest and penalties they never get out from under.
And I tell themselves, okay, at the end of the year, reevaluate, where you're at. And for year 2, if you want to give yourself a little bit of a raise or whatever, then do it. But always live within that and build up your business account so you can use your business account as a business. You're an entrepreneur. So if you want to buy Zillow leads, it comes out of your business account.
Right.
You have money in there, you can commit to it, but you're still paying yourself personally. What happens is that most agents, they get a $20,000 check. It goes into one account.
Right.
And you got $20,000, and all of a sudden they want to go blow it. Like they know that
they want to blow it. They don't have any deals going on, so they take a break.
Yeah. And what happens if you go 3-4 months without your next deal?
Yeah.
You just spent, half of your $20,000. Now you're trying to live the next 3 months. We have to live modestly and build it up. That's how all entrepreneurs do it that start any business. They don't just take all the money and put it in their personal account and then just divvy out money to everybody. Like they put themselves on a payroll. Plus, it's a huge tax advantage because now your business is paying you personally. You're paying taxes off of personally. You're going to save yourself a ton of money in taxes at the end of the year. That's why I sent you to my guy, which you said you didn't call. He said
no, we did.
Call me yet. Did you?
No, my guy Nick called him. Yeah, we're already in the system. Yeah.
So
thank you.
He saves me a ton of money, and he handles a lot of big people in town, well beyond what I do. But putting myself in the corporation was the biggest thing. It's like you have a separate corporation or an LLC for every business entity that you have.
We have 27 bank accounts.
Yeah. I mean, it keeps you protected,
She has
sheltered. Yeah, and you can put it all into one, but then it's too hard to manage. You don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No,
and that's and brokers are not teaching that to their agents. So who cares what your split is? Who cares what's providing you the most value? Like, who's setting you up to win?
Right.
Who's setting you up to make money year
successful.
after year and be in this in the long term? And I think that's why most agents drop out of this in the first 3 years and fail because they haven't managed their money. Like I met with this lady one time. She was newly into real estate, and she was asking me like how she should, get more business and et cetera. So I was asking a little bit about her. She came from a job that paid her $175,000 a year salary. And I said, well, why did you leave? And she said, because there's no glass ceiling in real estate. And I said, but do you really know what it takes to make $175,000 a year consistently, like net? Like,
yeah,
it takes a lot. And I was like, how many? I was like, how many deals have you done this year so far? And it was like 3 deals, and she was at like 21,000. And I said, what I would advise you to do is go get that job back. Like, why would you leave a lucrative, good job like that's paying you well like that to get in real estate? Yeah, you can make a ton of money in real estate, but there's not a whole lot that are making well over that year after year after year consistently. So some people people need to be honest with agents that are getting this business. Like, you're affecting somebody's life, and it doesn't just take working hard. Nurses work hard. Everybody works hard. Someone that had a single
teachers
mom
work hard.
Yeah.
And I've seen videos of realtors coming out. I saw one the other day where somebody was flexing a Rolex that they had, that it was like a $75,000 Rolex. And this is also a person that like flashes, like, I got this $60,000 check, and if you work hard,
so tacky.
And it's like, what do you mean if you work hard? Like, everybody works hard. Like, are you saying that a nurse or a teacher isn't working hard? Maybe they're doing what they love. So I feel like it's kind of insulting especially when you only have to go get a 90-hour course, or is it 120 now for real estate?
Yeah.
And
now you just have to work hard.
Yeah,
now you're a millionaire.
What does the work hard?
I want to tap on that because I was often saying that work hard, work hard, work hard. Not in a rub it in your face thing. It was a true understanding of what I felt I had to do to get to where I'm at, and it was hard work. Well, let's define hard work. That's where I think I was neglecting anybody that I was saying that to. Josh, how'd you get to where you're at? Hard work.
Right.
Okay, but actually that is exactly to your point. I want to double down on it. That is a disjustice to the person asking me that question because it's such a vague statement. What is that? Okay, to your point. Of course I'm going to work hard. I have no problem. If you told me to go pick up 100 boulders and move them over here and I'd give you $100,000, I'd be out here till my fingers were bleeding before I stopped. So I agree. People aren't afraid of hard work. What it is, though, for me, what it was is that hard work meant discipline.
Yeah.
It was discipline. So I almost wanted to stop saying hard work and start saying discipline is what got me here. Waking up at you and I, dude, we're sitting across from each other. We've looked at each other at the same time, roughly at the gym for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
Discipline.
And I use a lot of analogies to working out.
Oh yeah, me too.
Because if you meet somebody at the gym that's in excellent shape, them saying just working hard isn't the only thing that it takes.
No,
right.
You can look at the
it's
treadmill. That lady's working real hard right now.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, like you have to watch everything that you eat. Like when I competed, like it was more than working hard. It was like difficult. So like with your situation, like when I met you at the gym is when you thought your business was going to go down when you didn't have that investor.
Yeah. When it was with Chris. Yeah, that's how long ago I met Mike.
Yeah, that's
and
so
I remember seeing him in the locker room.
Yeah,
like
panic.
Fuck, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like I don't, it was a catch-22 for you. You like your business was either gonna collapse and you were gonna have to do something else, or you were gonna do whatever it could to
make it work.
And you did. And it wasn't just hard work, but it was commitment, risk taking.
Yeah.
That's something that I haven't been good at, is being a risk taker. And I think the main reason is because I had my kids so young.
Absolutely.
Right out of high school.
That's definitely why.
So I went to right to responsibility. Like I'm going to make sure I do everything I can and work hard, put in time to make as much money as I can to give them the life that I didn't have. So I couldn't risk certain things and then end up jeopardizing their life.
Their life, yeah.
I want to double down on that one too. My mom, same thing. My mom, single mom, raising my sister and I. Entrepreneurial mind.
Sure.
Did relatively well for herself, but certainly had to have it dampered raising us. She had to have a W-2 job. She had to, and then she was able to save a few bucks and invest here and there, and that's what allowed her to do well. But no argument, man. W-2, and she tells me that. And actually, I've heard you're the second parent that's told me that. She's like, you don't think I wanted to take more risks? You don't think I wanted to go do all this crazy shit, start a business, fail, start over? I had 2 kids that were depending on me to eat, and a single mom.
Right.
And I was going to college full time, and I was working full time. I was in pre-med. I was trying to go to medical school to be a doctor, and I was like, I'm going to be $300,000 at least in debt by the time I get there. My kids are going to be, 12 by that time. That's
a whole nother equation.
Yeah, I got to figure out something else. Like I'm not going to be able to capitalize on my dream, but I have to be able to take care of my responsibility. And that was the number one thing that I wanted to do.
Powerful, Mike.
So I get inspired and motivated by people that are on the comeback or have not allowed things to set them back. Like if I find myself,
boy, I've inspired you a whole bunch of times.
Like I get inspired. Like if I'm at the gym, I don't get inspired by the person that is in shape. I get inspired by the overweight person or the pregnant woman that doesn't need to be there.
Right.
Or even somebody that like has a cast on that's rolling around the wheelchair that is still in there working out because they don't have to. They have the excuse.
They have the excuse.
And they have the most commitment. They work the hardest. So I'm like, instead of me being lazy and sitting here, and giving myself a pity party or thinking I could take it easy, I need to step it up because of what they're doing. And that inspires me more, just like what you guys went through, what you went through, and how you guys were still able to run all your businesses, handle everything, where some people would have just like caved in,
collapsed,
maybe had their own pity party and just let like life like pull them down. You guys used it to come together, uplift yourselves, work hard, and you did probably most of your business while that was happening.
Dude, I found a different version of myself during that time.
Yeah.
We bought this building. We found $1 million. It's so easy to say. It's much harder to go do. We found $1 million in cash between making money and saving money and finding other places to pull it from that year, so that we could buy this $3.5 million building. Plus, I bought 18 single family homes as rentals.
Yeah, I mean that's huge.
It was almost enlightening. I don't know. I'm okay. I love how I operate normally, but it was an enlightening experience for me personally because that non-emotional, just execute mindset, which is survival mode, which is what I think I clicked into and hadn't probably clicked out of it until recently.
Yeah.
I actually literally feel like recently, and there's a whole other conversation we can get into there. I was super productive, super producer, and that was my view. I'd love to, I don't want to.
No, I agree with you. And I think that, I mean, it was nice to have the distraction too. So I think it's like you doubled the workload to have the distraction and push through.
Because the mind's a powerful thing when it comes to your body. Like when you start to feel sick, if you tell yourself that you're getting a cold, like your body will start like going downward.
Right.
But
it's like you don't want to say it out loud.
Or you ignore it. You notice that you don't go further into the sickness.
You got a lot of depth here, Mike.
I mean, it's just because I've dealt with a lot of like things.
Adversity.
Like I've done a lot, like, being involved in the Route 91 shooting. A lot of people just couldn't survive after that. Like, even though they were a survivor, they just can't push forward. Like, and I've been in so many situations that I've had to overcome that I wasn't going to sit there and create a pity party for myself or put myself in a negative situation. It was like, okay, I'm thankful for being here. I'm thankful for being alive.
Totally.
And what am I going to do with it going forward?
Right.
I mean, I did have a little bit of that survivor's remorse.
Oh, I bet.
Like, because I helped a few people, but I was like, could I have helped more? Could I have done more? Could I have?
It's survivor's guilt. Yeah.
But I didn't have like PTSD. I didn't have any of that.
Yeah, you two can relate.
But you're doing
shit.
Like with the cool cap that you're doing, like you're doing more to help other people or making them aware of it. And I think that's big. We need to do that with every situation. And that's also what is wrong with social media. Social media is all like, it's fake. We all put our successes on there. We celebrate all these great things, but do we put out there that we need help? Do we put out there when we need something, or talk about like our failures and ask people for genuine help and some compassion? It's like we all put on this fake facade for social media.
Yeah, you put only the happy stuff. Like, what about the
and it's made us antisocial, I think.
Right.
And that's one thing that really drove me talking to Josh, is because he's humble.
Yeah.
Everybody knows he's successful. He's letting people talk about his success rather than him doing it.
Yeah.
And you're not living beyond your means. You can afford so much more, but you're not doing it. And too many people in this town do that. Like, you're not going to have a consistent year after year growth. You're not going to make 500,000 one year. You go from 500,000 one year to 100,000 the next year.
Totally.
But if you budget right and you live within your means, that's why Steve does a great job of living within his means. Steve can afford anything he wanted.
Sure.
But he's not wearing an expensive suit.
No fancy
He's not
cars.
driving a fancy car. He lives a modest lifestyle, and he's honest about what's going on in the market. And we need to stop BSing people. The consumers look at us as car salesmen because we're always talking about it's always a positive and it's always a good time to buy. And we may think that, but we have to remember that the average consumer out there, or the median income, is right now is around $64,000 per household. You know, and we start not relating to what people are making or what they're doing. It's easy for us to say, yeah, your $3,000 mortgage payment, if you just stop having coffee at Starbucks every day and do this, and that.
Yeah.
But they're jumping from $1,500 rent to $3,000 mortgage. You know, start having some relatability to your client and put them in a good situation. Yes, it's always better to own than to rent.
I believe that.
Real estate and every other investment has always been about long term. We've become where we want everything fast. We want money fast. We want to flip the property and make, 50% on it right away. We want all this fast cash, and you're learning it with a lot of the youth that are coming up now and getting into the job field. Like, they don't want to take any of these jobs. They want to go right from to the CEO position.
No, that's definitely ruining it.
Yeah.
And
because it's this big message: don't work a 9 to 5. That is the fucking most bullshit message I've ever seen.
Yeah, I agree.
Start working with a 9 to 5.
Yeah,
How
you gotta
can
have
you-
Get
some
life
work
experience.
ethic.
You got
and
work ethic, life experience.
Yeah,
Some skill set. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to work for somebody.
yeah.
That's why you start from the bottom.
Yeah.
But everybody
That's
wants
your
to go on
point.
the top. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody is. Everything you see on social media is about how to make money quick, whether it was crypto, NFTs, real estate. Real estate has
easy
always been
money.
about real estate. It's always been, if you're getting single-digit appreciation gains yearly basis, then you're doing good.
Yeah.
We've been very spoiled with
Oh my
double-digit
God.
returns.
24%.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's not what.
I don't want that
Sustainable.
to be sustainable.
No.
It'd implode.
Even a median home price right now, $425. This is what people don't look at the numbers. So in 2006, $315 was the highest median home price, and right now it's $425. But in 2006, the average household income was $72,000. Now it's $64,000. They're making less and paying more.
Which they're able to do because of interest rates. But now the interest rate system's out of whack. It's fucking everything
Right.
up.
Well, the interest rate in 2006 was basically the same as it is today.
But you had more money.
Yes, but it was about affordability. People were doing interest-only loans and doing
yeah.
80-20 loans because they wanted their payment lower.
Mm-hmm.
That's why right now you have the 2-1 and the 3-1 buy-downs. If you start seeing the builders start paying, like jacking up their commissions, then you know there's
There's
something
problem.
big coming.
Yeah.
And
totally.
usually when you can tell when the 2-1 and 3-1 buy-downs are coming, that's usually a sign too, because that's the same thing that happened back then.
Anytime the creative financing comes in, it's because there's something out of whack in the system. So they're
Right,
having to
right.
find
They see
another
something.
mechanism to manipulate to regain affordability.
Uh-huh.
But it's never long term.
Yeah.
That those unique mechanisms aren't intended to be long term.
No.
And it's true that home prices are not going to go down, but that's for the entry level, which we don't have anymore. And we may never see entry level housing again, because anyone that bought their house from 2009 to 2015, if you bought your house at 112 to 200,000, you should never sell that house. That's your real estate portfolio that we talk about all the time. If you got your home with a mortgage interest rate under 3 or 3.5%, you should never sell that home. Find another way to come up with a down payment for your next house or whatever, because we're not going to see interest rates back in the
No.
3s ever again,
I don't think so.
unless there's a collapse of some sort with not just real estate, but the economy. And I mean, that's a whole nother thing, because that's like commercial right now is being hit. Did you see about Blackstone?
No, I didn't read about Blackstone. I know commercial's going to get annihilated. Commercial and single family,
Yeah.
or excuse me, multifamily.
Blackstone's portfolio their real estate portfolio is 43% less than what they owe for the property value. So they're starting to default on a lot of properties. They're defaulting.
I did
on
read
some
that they
here.
defaulted on something. Yeah,
And Blackstone is, I think, the second or third. I think there's Vanguard.
that's a strategic.
Blackstone.
That's a strategic default because they've got more money than they.
Well, and they know they're going to be bailed out when
Yeah.
they're so big.
Yeah, they'll either be bailed out or they're forcing the banks to come to the table and renegotiate.
Right, right.
Didn't they halt investors from pulling their money out? Was that I read about them?
They may have. I don't
People
know.
were trying to take their money out. They're like, no, you can't.
It's
That's
weird
what. Yeah, when they're
The whole
that.
dynamic is weird because Vanguard is like one of the largest investors in Blackstone, and Blackstone's one of the largest investors in Vanguard.
Oh my
Really?
gosh, that's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Blackstone's not going anywhere. If they're defaulting, it's strategic. But that's how those guys are. That's the Sheldon Adelson guys. You know, they build this place. They got all the money in the world. It's the Donald Trumps. You know,
But
and I'm not oblivious to it. And then they just say, I'm not going to pay you.
And everything is over leveraged right now. Real estate, the stock market.
I don't think there's any way out.
I
I think that this is the new norm. That whole old school thinking, well, one day you got to pay it back. No. The Fed took that book and went like this.
Yeah.
And that book ain't ever coming back.
just like I get approached by people all the time asking for foreclosures, and I'm like, you're never going to see foreclosures again. The banks have smartened up. Back then, they didn't have systems in place to handle it.
They didn't know.
Now they know it's a small percentage of their portfolio. They'll hold on to it, rent it out, or fix it up and sell it. But they're not just giving these.
They annihilated themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
They owned the whole block, and they sold one house for 170, and they were owed 300 on the other rest of the homes, and their whole portfolio went to half.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know you know that, but I had to say it for the listeners.
So
yeah, that won't
never
come
gonna
back
happen again.
No.
Yeah, even you can tell the notice of default list will be like 2 pages, and then when the notice of sale list comes out, it's got like 2 homes on it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And most of them are because of a death, like
like literally the guy
somebody
not
died and nobody's done anything.
Yeah, house has been abandoned. There's probably a checklist of things. No response, abandon the property, it's vacant, reached out to the before they actually foreclose. Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you follow money?
Like the value of money?
Yeah, like what's
trading
going on in the
currencies and
world.
stuff?
Like, so I'm wondering, with all these countries coming together and using the yuan instead of the dollar, what's going to happen to the dollar?
So let's go. So we're wired differently, or our upbringings wired us differently. To me, I don't look into the future. I don't look into what happens if Russia, China, India, all those big countries that just got together and are putting together their plan to be dominant countries. Because if I look at that, then I wouldn't allow that
to make
new understanding to influence my decision on what I do today. Like today, I have to go. I don't think we're not closing anything, but hypothetically speaking, let's say I was closing a flip. I've got to wire $75,000-$80,000 out today. I have to not listen to all of what is out there that's influencing that decision. I can't listen to it. The only thing that I have to listen to is what is inventory at right now. Inventory today, if you're only referencing single family residences, was like 41.23, and yesterday it was like 41.30. Now it's like 41.20. So it's just been going down consecutively. I know you understand that too. So that's the only data that I watch, because if I got caught up in all of this other data and information, it would debilitate me.
Sure.
I'd clam up. I just would. So I can't.
Well,
I'm
that's
not,
also where
I'm
your
not
risk
mentally
taker thing
strong
comes in.
enough. Well, yes, and I've manipulated my own self to put myself in a position to be a risk taker. If we're comparing apples to apples, it appears I've taken more risk, but it's calculated risk.
Yeah.
But if I have to put myself into a little box and then block out the noise so that I'm willing to take that risk. Because it's obviously easy to be influenced and scared of that stuff. That's why Steve Hawks, I tell him all day, one of the greatest marketers in the industry. 2, one of the smartest, if not the smartest guy in the industry, literally. But I can't listen to anything he says.
Sure.
Because it would debilitate me.
Yeah.
It would handicap me. I'd go, Danny, we're fucked.
Well, 2019, we would have stopped.
Yeah, I always make a joke. If I listened to all the naysayers, I'd be a few $1 million lighter.
True.
And it's because it would have influenced my decision making. But I'm also unique that my business and investment tool that I use is encapsulated within 90 days, because my buy model is 90 days. Buy, I have 30 days to fix it up, 30 days to market it and sell it, 30 days to go into escrow and close it.
Smart.
So I only care about 90 days of each investment. And obviously when I'm determining if I should make the investment, I'm looking 90 days out. So even if they stagger like this, they still are all encapsulated within 90 days. So that may be another thing that's unique. But I guess if I was a long-term stockholder or stuff like that, or all these other things, honestly, and I'm a little bit optimistic. Let's say that China becomes the dominating world power. Good for them. I'm just going to have faith that my government, and at some point you have to have faith.
Right.
I'm going to have faith that my government and my military is going to protect my my personal assets and my bank account and my, ability to stimulate the economy and live a functioning life. At some point, I have to just give the faith that the higher powers than me are going to kick in and ensure my longevity.
And the best part is China's economy is literally being held up by toothpicks right now. Russia's being drained from the war. I mean, like, I think it's more or less they're trying to poke the bear.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Because I don't think
Russia's obliterated. It's all bullshit.
So is China.
And China's whole real estate market was bailed out by their government.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with you. I think
and
China.
we still own, I think, like 60% of the oil reserves in dollars right now. So, like,
Was that you? Yeah, you said it to me yesterday. I think that's the big thing.
there's a huge chunk still.
Where I think America's fucking up, if we're going to get on some of this geopolitical stuff, is now's the time. Now's the time to blow the load. You know what I'm saying? We've been sitting on this petroleum reserve.
Yeah.
And like oil's like becoming not as valuable.
Right.
It obviously is still extremely valuable, but it
Yes.
is working its way down, over the next 10, 15, 20 years. Like they're going to have boats that are transporting shipping containers driven by batteries and the solar. It's just what it is. They're not going to have them. So now's the time to be selling this shit and paying off our national debt and, keeping just enough to run our military. Did you know that that's what the strategic reserve is about?
Mm-hmm. For the military.
It's for the military. Did you know that?
No.
I didn't know that either. I'm glad that you came on. Super informative, educational, a great
Added
perspective.
a lot of value.
Yeah, true value add,
Thank
man.
you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, guys.
Man.
Appreciate it.
See you next time.
Hey guys, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you guys want to learn more about the tools, tips, and tricks that I use on a daily basis to maintain my success, stay connected with me through all of my socials at IAmJoshGalindo.